Can you believe Drake and Josh Helen's Surgery aired 20 years ago? Better start getting my retirement account ready. This episode aired in season 3 of Drake and Josh all the way back in June of 2005, just 2 months after the first ever video was posted to YouTube. That's disgusting. And it's kind of crazy to think that this is the 3rd season, so that means the first 2 seasons of Drake and Josh all aired pre-YouTube. And you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe that's why we all remember and quote these shows so often. We didn't have a million other things to watch. We just had TV and we were all watching the same thing. Maybe that brought us all together. Or it could just be that Drake and Josh is iconic and memorable. And I definitely remember this episode with Helen running around blind with those eye patches over her damn eyes. So guys, since it's been a disgusting 20 years, it's definitely time for a rewatch to see what made Helen's Surgery such a wild episode. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to give us a fat like and maybe even subscribe to the channel. And if you have any future episodes or shows you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments. All right, let's dive in. The cold open starts with Josh saying how irresponsible Drake is, and Drake, who forgets to prepare a story for the intro sequence, calls Josh to ask what story he's telling. He then steals Josh's story and Josh promptly tackles him. And I gotta point out, why does Drake have to prepare a story for a camera crew? What's the lore here? Drake calls Josh downstairs for a big announcement, and the big announcement is just that he got some super sour candy. Kind of dramatic for Drake to call that a big announcement, I gotta say. Josh puts on the coveted gold vest because Helen is getting surgery, so he's filling in as assistant manager at the premiere until she gets back. And the golden vest is absolutely insane if you think about it. Imagine an assistant manager of a near minimum wage job flexing like that. Megan's listening in on the boys' conversation and tells Josh she has a great idea to help him get promoted for real.
It's a big pain in the butt when you have to carry your popcorn and your drink and your candy. We create a thing that holds all of it. One container. And we can call it Cup of Stuff.
She offers to split the profits with Josh 50-50, to which Josh immediately shuts down the idea brutally. First of all, he's wrong. Very similar products have come out years after this aired and been very successful. Auntie Anne's, I call it. Auntie Anne's had their own version. Snackies used to be all over those commercials as seen on TV type shit. People bought this junk. Second, Megan is an entrepreneur. She's a go-getter. That attitude will take her far in life, and her offer to split profits with Josh 50-50 is actually generous. Drake then sticks out his tongue and it's bright green from the sour candy, and we've made it to the theme song it seems. Cut to the premiere where some real classics like Puppet Fever and Death Fish 2 are playing. Josh is trying hard to be taken seriously as assistant manager, and there's a businessman in a suit standing behind him, and I just want you guys to remember this man. Drake sees a cute girl at the snack counter and he tries to impress her by stealing free soda. He puts the damn soda nozzle right on his mouth, and that's a health code violation, no doubt. And Josh only wipes it off with his sleeve. That doesn't disinfect anything, Josh. A random guy across the room drops his popcorn, drink, and candy everywhere because he was holding too much stuff at once. And our businessman in the background laughs at his failure. Megan points out to Josh this proves her cup of stuff is a good idea, and she even busts out a prototype. And I gotta be honest, guys, she came up with the idea, she designed it, and she built the damn thing all by herself, and she's still willing to split profits 50-50 with Josh. That's very respectable. Josh tells Megan he's not into her dumb cup idea and to stop bringing it up because he's in charge until Helen gets back.
I'm back! Oh, jeez.
See ya.
Helen just had laser eye surgery 2 hours ago and she's ready to move on with her day. Helen doesn't believe in living in the past. The surgery is over and she's gonna work. She's moving on. The only problem is she's completely blind. Josh protests that Helen shouldn't be there. She tells him to shut up because he's getting on her nerves. The customer who dropped his popcorn and soda all over himself walks up and asks for a new soda, and Helen sprays him in the goddamn face. Okay, all right. Vision or no vision, you can tell which way your own hand is pointing. You know when you're pointing a hose downwards or directly straight at someone's face. She says, that'll be $3.75, while holding out an empty cup that she surely can tell has no liquid in it. You would feel if the cup had liquid in it. Josh then tells her she called the customer in the face, and Helen says, okay, maybe I should go home. She asks Josh to drive her, and he realizes she somehow drove herself directly after the surgery. Helen is wild. Drake is making out with the random girl from earlier, and Josh interrupts him to say,
I have to take Helen home, right? And I need you to follow me so I can get a ride back. Kiss pretty girl, drive brother in traffic.
and the businessman is still standing in the same exact spot. What is he doing there? Drake tells Josh he won't do it because he'd rather kiss a pretty girl, and even sings Josh a cute little song about it.
No.
But Josh threatens to tell their dad that Drake ate his last special French pork chop, so Drake finally agrees to help. Okay. Before they leave, Helen goes to grab her purse, but accidentally kidnaps an infant child instead. Cut to Helen's place of living, and the boys are blown away by how nice it is. She has a goddamn hot tub inside her living room, and as cool as that is, I feel like it's a little impractical, isn't it? Josh asks her how she can afford all this, and she asks him if that's any of his damn business, which honestly it's not. Her financials are private, and Josh is out here pocket watching. Drake says, seriously, how do you afford all this? And Helen happily tells him it's because she was on a hit TV show back in the 70s called Happy Times, which I would assume is a spoof of Happy Days, where she played a little girl named Georgia with a famous catchphrase.
That is not my job.
And honestly, it's an instant classic Drake and Josh quote. Never forgot it, never will. It's also funny that Helen used to be a TV actress, yet in the Theater Thug episode, when she gets the chance to be on camera, she had absolutely no idea how to act. What's the deal there? Helen plays DDR against Drake, and she can't see the screen, so how does she know what buttons to hit? Does she have the whole damn level memorized? Or did she forget that she's supposed to be blind right now? Also, Josh joins the game as player 3 when there is clearly only 2 sets of arrows and 2 players on the screen. It's a 2-player game. Helen asks Josh to get her eye drops, and he drops them down the sink for no reason, then turns on the garbage disposal while looking for a light. Luckily, Helen starts feeling all loopy from her pain pills, and Josh is able to make up an excuse while he leaves to get more eye drops. So Drake is left to babysit Helen while she's high as balls? What could go wrong? Cut to Josh at home packing supplies to bring back to Helen's place when Drake casually strolls in and enters the room as well. Josh freaks out and says, "What the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be watching Helen." Drake then says he needed a bathing suit for the hot tub, which literally Josh could have just brought that to him. Josh then freaks out on Drake, saying Helen is loopy and she could drown herself in the hot tub or fall off the balcony or something. They go back to Helen's place and she is nowhere to be found. Josh takes off only one shoe, then jumps into the hot tub to look for her corpse, I guess? Why did he take off just one shoe? Cut to the premiere where Josh goes to look for Helen in the woman's bathroom, but his presence isn't appreciated in there by the women, and he is promptly removed. Sidebar, there's a poster in the background for a movie called Footless, and if I know Dan Schneider, that's gotta be a horror film in his eyes. Josh's co-worker Gavin says maybe Helen wandered into traffic or something, and Josh pictures her funeral, which features himself and other employees wearing the black funeral edition of the vest uniform from the premiere. Also, Helen's mother doesn't appear to be present at the funeral, even though we do see her in the series finale Really Big Shrimp, so I guess she just had better things to do. Rather than paying their respects to Helen, the funeral attendees all pay their disrespect to Josh as they walk out, with each one of them telling him how it's his fault for abandoning her in her time of need. Damn! Suddenly, Josh gets a phone call from Megan asking if he lost something, and it turns out she found Helen wandering in the park talking to a bush? Girl was high as hell. Also, this scene is filmed in the same style of the cold open intros with the aerographics, and that's kind of odd to me. Josh hangs up without even saying thank you you, and she just saved your ass, Josh, and potentially saved Helen's life as well. So ungrateful ass Josh runs off to go get Helen. Back at Drake and Josh's house, Helen is still high as balls, and she's geeking over how good of an idea the couple stuff is, much to Megan's delight, of course. And I wonder about the ethics of conducting a business deal with a woman who's high on opiates. Josh is annoyed and takes Helen home, while again not saying thank you to Megan. When they get back to Helen's place, Drake is there partying with a ton of randos. He thinks she is missing or potentially dead as far as he knows, and he throws a party in her goddamn house. He also brings over some crab puffs to everyone in the hot tub, and one guy dips it in the hot tub water, then pretends to bite it. When Josh comes through the door with Helen, everyone in the hot tub goes silent, so Helen won't know they're there. She hears Josh say, "Drake," and tells Drake to come over and give her a hug. So he exits the hot tub, wipes off his legs, then hugs her. Why not wipe off your arms and chest? Legs? That isn't the part you hug with. But Helen wants to get in the hot tub herself, and she goes over to get in. Fully clothed, might I add. Helen then climbs into the hot tub, and she reaches over and feels a random girl's shoulder. Drake pretends it's him, and she says, "Wow, Drake, you're pretty scrawny." Which is funny, because Drake's actual body type doesn't look that different than the girl's shoulder in the first place. Suddenly, Helen's doctor calls and tells her over the phone that she could take the bandages off her eyes. She blinks her eyes open and sees all the random underage strangers in her hot tub, and they all awkwardly say, "Surprise," and Helen asks, "What the hell is going on?" Josh starts to crash out a little and says it was all Drake's idea, but Helen is overjoyed and tells Drake that this is the sweetest thing anyone's ever done for her. She says, "Let's get the party started," and the disco ball comes down, and she proceeds to party it up with a bunch of high schoolers. Cut to the premiere where Helen and Megan are launching the new Cuppo Stuff product, and Helen tells her to come back to the office because she has $700 coming her way. And you know what? I don't feel bad for Josh at all on this one. Megan tried to make Josh look good in front of the boss with this idea, and he also would have earned his cut of $700 in what appears to be just the first day of sales alone, but he just wouldn't listen to Megan. It's his own damn fault. Helen tells Josh to check on toilet number 23 as she walks off with Megan. Are toilets really numbered like that? And Josh asks Drake if he wants to come help him with the toilet, to which of course Drake responds,
"That is not my job."
And Drake is literally right. Josh is getting paid working at the premiere to do this. Josh is an employee and Drake isn't. It is not his job to help you clean the toilet because he isn't getting paid to do that. Do your own work, Josh. And the one thing I will say about the "that is not my job" quote is that it's actually pretty interesting to me how this is such a memorable and iconic Helen quote, but it's not even a line she says as an adult. It's from a flashback of child Helen saying it, which is a completely different actress if we're being honest. And yet, even though it's not something that adult Helen says, it's still so instantly recognized and iconic as a Drake and Josh Helen quote. And I think that just speaks to how iconic of an episode this one was. Yvette Nicole Brown is such a fantastic and funny character as Helen that it's easy to forget she's actually listed as a guest star anytime Helen appears. She is such a big part of the show that it really does feel like she's in the main cast. And if you love Helen, you gotta love this episode. I mean, she drove through traffic while blind an hour after eye surgery. That's a classic Helen move. And sure, you could look at this episode as similar to Theater Thug, for example, where nothing seems to go right for Josh. Drake is the irresponsible one for throwing a party at Helen's house while she was missing, and Josh tries to fix it, but Drake gets all the credit anyway. But honestly, it's hard for me to feel bad for Josh in this one when he's expecting non-employees to help him with the toilets when he can't even say thank you to his little sister for saving his boss's life. But enough of me yapping. What did you guys think of Helen's surgery? Do you still find yourself saying, "That is not my job" 20 years later? I know I do. Let me know how you're feeling down in the comments and let's kick it. And if you made it this far, why not give this video a like and maybe even subscribe? It would mean the world and push the channel channel forward. Let's do it. Finally, I need to give a huge, massive, sloppy, hard, throbbing, veiny shout out to the channel members, the squad, the aggro army. And for the very first time, I am thrilled to introduce our first ever Patreon members as well. Our newest channel member is JD Catgirl 99, and our two new Patreon members are Liam A and Tank P. Welcome to the army. I can't say enough good things about you. 5 stars to each and every one of you. Thank you. And as a quick reminder, if you subscribe to my Patreon, you'll get access to all my early uploads as well as a couple exclusive videos I can't post on YouTube due to copyright. I'll be putting a link to my Patreon in the description if you want to check it out. Thanks again to all the channel members and all the patrons for the support. You guys rock. You keep me going, and I would kiss your lips if I could. All right, thanks for listening.